The music is called rapping. The group is the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and the song is the first protest rap song. Felicia Jeter interviewed the group on the CBS broadcast Night Watch.
How do you describe rapping, the style that you were using in the message?
Well, I would say that rapping is like poetry, you know, but that you recite it to the beat of the music.
Yeah.
You know, it's just.
How did it get to be a gold record?
Well, I guess it just took years of, it happening, just playing for free in the parks, doing the parties. But after a while, it just built up to it,
And
more
here
than
you
gold,
are.
double platinum with Rapper's Delight. That's where it all started, like, as far as on a record level, recording level.
Flash, they call you Grandmaster Flash. That means you're no ordinary Flash. And that has to do with how quickly you move your hands, I'm told, in your job. Tell me what you do. Explain your job.
Well, what it is exactly taking parts of records and segging them with other parts of records to make a completely different record. It's more or less like reorchestrating the actual wax and making it a different record.
Now in the case of your group, you have the company's band put soundtracks down.
Yes.
And then you told me you have 3 different turntables working at one time.
Yes.
And you totally come up with another kind of music.
What it is like, I'm like the band, so what it is, I have to actually, my job is to actually keep the music going, keep it on time,
That's quite a job. Does it help not having a band? I know it must save you some money. A lot of people are starting to do that.
Well, the only advantage that it gives us is the advantage to do it all our own. Because, I mean, with a band, it'd be a lot easier just to have them come out there and, do it for us. See, now we could be more or less the pioneers of what we do, just to take it, on our own steps.
And you really have more control this way, too.
Yes.
You are real interesting in your own personal lives in the fact that you have now made, obviously, a lot of money. You've had 3 records to go gold or platinum. And you were all born, say, I guess in the ghetto, in the Bronx.
Yeah, that's where we come from.
And most of you still live there. All of you still live there.
I love it.
A lot of people would have run out of the ghetto and gotten a huge, gorgeous home and done all kinds of things with all that money.
No.
You're still there. What's your lifestyle like?
Well, what it is like, that people look at us differently, but I feel that's the environment I grew up in, so I would feel uncomfortable moving to a more cosmetic area, so to speak, where people are not really for real. See, in the ghetto, it's like, I can relate to them people better as opposed to relating to other people in a more better area. It's where we get our material. And like, if we were to leave that, that's where our energy was created. And the thing with our energy, you can't take that with you. So if you leave that area,
it's gone.
That's it. There's no telling how things is going to turn out after that.
What message are you trying to communicate?
Well, like right now through the music is no particular message for us, but on our basic lifestyle and our offstage thing, when we do our thing on stage, it's more or less like a unity type thing, for everybody, to be together more or less, because that's the only way we all going to stay strong is if we all to do it together instead of being separate,
These days, if you say, "Give me a break" to an inner city kid, he's likely to get down on the pavement and start spinning. From Chicago, Meredith Vieira shows you how it's done.
It is happening in Chicago on the wrong side of the tracks, where the L train pulls up, and there's nothing much to do. The children are dancing, break dancing they call it, inner city kids on a north side playground, ghetto kids in a south side boys club. The movements come from jazz, mime, gymnastics, but the energy comes from the streets.
I don't think about nothing, no problems or nothing. I just feel like dancing.
And that feeling is growing among kids in the projects who live in buildings that look more like cages. They are throwing down cardboard on cold cement and dancing as fast as they can.
Maybe we can, get famous with it, be good, great dancers or something. Then we'll have people looking up to us instead of us always looking up to them.
The Boogaloo Bandits have heard about street dancers making it big in New York's ghetto where the whole thing started. And so they practice breaking every day in hopes of one day breaking out.
she think I'm crazy, you know. She say, what you doing? I say, but no. I say, okay, Ma. I said, no, don't take it like that. I say, Ma, this gonna take me out the projects, baby. It's gonna take me out.
Luther Aviles may never get out, but for now he is staying out of trouble. All it took was a friend named Juan and time, something Luther has always had too much of.
He's grown up a lot, and it's like he thinks more about dancing. It's not like, oh, well, you know, let's go do this, let's go get into trouble. It's more like, well, come on, let's break.
I just keep out of trouble. Hope to keep out of trouble.
Breakdancing won't turn the inner city inside out. It may be nothing more than a crazy fad, but these kids say it's the sanest thing to come their way in a long time. Meredith Vieira, CBS News, Chicago.
I know it's late, but you might want to try a few of those steps yourself before you turn in tonight. I'm Charles Osgood, CBS News. Good night.
Yo. Well, I started doing what I do many years ago when the first wave of rap records came in, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and Kurt and them, you know, because he's one of my idols, because I grew up listening to Curtis Blow. So that shows you that rap has lasted that long. Second generation sitting with the first generation. So it's not just a passing phase. Yeah, I'm not no hula hoop, you know what I'm saying? And what had happened, the reason I got into rapping, what had happened, well, I'd always wanted a motorcycle, you know, a mini bike or a motorcycle, because that's what kids wanted back then. And my grandfather, since I live in a neighborhood with a lot of cars go by and a lot of boulevards, he didn't want to get me a motorcycle. So he compromised me and he bought me about $2,000 worth of stereo equipment, 2 turntables, a mixer, amps, speakers. So I started making my own tapes with the kids in the neighborhood, and I started getting them into rap, because I was like the mentor of rap in the neighborhood, you know. Me and Ladies Love Cool J running around. So finally, when I was 15, 16, I made a tape. I sent it in to Rick Rubin. He had a production company called Def Jam Records. He had made it at his NYU dorm. And he formed a company to put out my first single entitled I Need a Beat. That record ended up selling about 100,000 copies, and I was on my way. Then what had happened, I had made another single and it didn't do as well. So then, to make Def Jam do real good, Rick and Russell decided to put an album out on me. They needed more power. So they traded Columbia Records talent for business muscle. The long arm of Columbia would push out records wherever they needed to go. So I ended up after that with a platinum album, a movie, Crush Groove, a movie with Goldie Hawn, Wildcats, and that's it, you know what I'm saying? It's on the wall. Thanks, man. When people see me walking down the block, I represent to a lot of people, oh, look at these hoodlums, they wrecked the buffet. You know what I'm saying? This is what I represent, you know? Because I don't wear no shoelaces in my sneakers, because I can take my sneakers off quick, and I wear a lot of gold because I didn't have it before and I want to wear it now. And I can afford it. But see, the drug dealers in the neighborhood who used to be idolized and looked up to, little kids see them. They're the only people who can escape the neighborhood. They got the big 500 Benz, you know, and they're riding around smiling at everybody, and the little kids look up to them. But now that they're in jail, and now that they're broke, and now that I'm addicted to this, a lot of them are addicted to the same stuff they were selling, the kids are looking up to me, because they see me on American Bandstand with Dick Clark and Soul Train rapping, being cool, wearing a cool hat, you know, bopping down the street the same way, but I'm legit. You know what I'm saying? So, there it is.
I started as a breakdancer back in 1972. This is before breakdancing really got hot nationally. We were just doing it up in the Bronx and Harlem. And I later on went to high school. Yeah, and I had to follow that beat, that disco beat, because at that time in 74 and 75, disco was really hot. And the kids uptown in Harlem and the Bronx, they didn't have the money to pay to get into the disco. So what we did was we made our own parties in the parks. And every Saturday and Sunday, you'd have DJs, the neighborhood DJs would come out and just have jams and have 2,000 kids in the park, and we'd just jam and have break dancers spinning on their heads and on the concrete and everything. It was wonderful, you know. But I had to still follow that pace because I realized and I analyzed that the DJ was the most important guy at the block party because he was the guy who was the center of attraction. He controlled the pace of what was going on. He was the man, so I wanted to become a DJ. So I went to college and I majored in communications and speech broadcasting, and my sidekick hobby was to become a DJ. I got my first job in 1976 at a club called Small's Paradise on 125th Street. Yeah. And then it burned down the next week. At least that's what everybody said. Charles Huggins, yeah, okay. So later on that year, I got another job at another club called Small's Paradise. Did I say that already? Or I said Charles Gallery. All right, Small's Paradise is where I really got hot. I became a popular DJ then. I met all the top guys like Pete DJ Jones and Grandmaster Flowers and Maboya and Plummer, and of course there was Hollywood and Eddie Chiba and Starsky. And we can't forget the Grandmaster Flash, who I also met in 1977, and we started doing duos together along with Millie Mel, and I finally got a chance to make a record in 1979 by some guys who were writers for Billboard magazine, J.B. Moore and Robert Ford, who became my producers and produced my first 5 albums. And the rest is history. What I want to say to all the guys out there who have dreams about becoming musicians or singers or rappers is that you have to think about survival first. You know, so don't give away your day job. You gotta pay the rent, you know, so, yeah. Hey, you know, you gotta feed your family, you gotta feed your face, and don't forget that. You always have to keep something on the side, something that you can fall back on, like some kind of a solid career, like you know, speech broadcasting or communications. Maybe you can be a broadcaster or something, you know, whatever, but don't give away that day job. Thank you.
All right, friends, run DMC. As you know, rap started on the street corners in the ghettos, and there were many people who said it won't last. What's happened?
It lasted. Rap is here to stay. It's like, to me, people think it's going to go somewhere because we're not talking about anything, and they're not listening to what we're saying, obviously, because we talk about a lot of positive things. It's like Michael Jackson sings about Billie Jean. I could rap about her just like he can sing about her, you know. I could rap about anything a singer can sing about, so you might as well just say, when singing dies, I'll die. So singing's been here and I'll be here. It's just a different form of singing. We're rapping, and I could talk about anything that a singer could talk about for sure.
What do you want to achieve, though? Your goals? What are your
I don't know.
We just want to make good
I want
music.
respect myself.
We want respect in music.
Because we sell a lot more records than a lot of guys that's sitting out there in the Grammys, and you know, we like to be invited one time that we can come say, well, them guys, they always make a good album, they're consistent, this is what they do. And, you know, I'm tired of getting, like, fronted meaning don't, you know,
disrespect.
You know, give us the respect we deserve. We sell a lot of records, people like us, but you keep not, you know, they don't let us in.
Do you think you're misunderstood? And for
no, they understand. It's just that they don't want to I guess they don't want to let us get more.
They're ignoring the number that, they're number 12 pop here. They just skip over, you know, they just skip over it, I guess.
Skip over our name and look at this other guy's name.
As far as you said, your first one of the first songs that you actually put together was over an Aerosmith record.
No, there wasn't a song. It was just we used to rap before rap records were made. We used to rap over rock beats, let them scratch it up. But
like we set up in a park, and we needed stuff to rap over, so we go to the store and buy 2 Aerosmith records.
Because
and the
somebody
DJ would
discovered
play that as we rap over it. And then after we said a few lyrics over that record, we pull out James Brown and rap over that, because we couldn't rap over the disco because the disco had
jazz tune.
Or old jazz tune or something.
We had to find things to rap over because a lot of the records that were on the radio were just too disco, and we had to find hard beats or just something real old and different. You know, we had to find something to rap over.
Well, you certainly are the most successful rap group ever. Have you been able to accept that success? Are you able to deal with it?
It's the best.
Yeah.
I like it. I just like, you know, when I go write something in my basement and I'm sitting there writing and I finish and everybody likes it, it just makes me want to write more because I like what I'm doing. And when I write it and everybody says, yeah, I like that, it just makes me happy. I want to do it again.
People have been saying that, you know, this rap is all noise, it's not going to last.
I mean, you know, we can make any kind of music anybody else can. We just don't sing, you know what I'm saying? We can rap about, you know, don't drive drunk, just like Stevie could sing about don't drive drunk. So rap is going to be here just as long as people keep making good records.
Where do you see, is there an outer limit? I mean, is there a cap on how big it can get?
There's no limit to how big we can get. We can get big as the Beatles if we keep this up, you know what I'm saying?
Now, a lot of radio stations say, well, you know, we can't play rap, our audience won't listen to them. What do you say to those?
I say that radio station need to play rap and watch their rates go up, you know what I mean?
Or they're turn down the radio station, you know what I'm saying?
You know, there were a lot of kids in the audience today. We talked to some of them. A lot of white kids were here because they like Run DMC and they were upset about the radio station. So, you think the stations are behind the time?
All the kids out there, y'all got to call the radio station and say, yo, what's up, man? Y'all got to play Run DMC's records and stop fronting on them. That's what all the kids got to do who feel that way.
Now, what do you say to parents who say, boy, my daughter, my child's in there listening to this rap, I don't understand it, you know? I mean,
she needs to listen to it, because we always tell the kids to stay in school, you know what I'm saying? Run DMC is a real positive group, you know? We got a little black history lesson and Proud to Be Black on our new Raising Hell album, and we always doing things that's positive, you know what I mean? So if your parents going to tell the kids she don't understand it, she need to listen to it and have the kids write it down for her and say, oh, that's what they're saying. Then she'll be up on it, just like her kids.
The future is nothing but up.
Excuse me?
The future is nothing but up.
There it is. You know what time it is.
We are definitely back here with the Beastie Boys, Run DMC. Ron DMC. We just cooling, though.
In case you were watching us before and you've decided to rejoin us, everybody seemed to have gotten up and changed seats, and I'm not even sure who I am anymore, so I guess we have everybody all mixed in. I wanted to ask one really burning question. I was reading through a clip, and it said that you all did something called the Jerry Lewis, which is a dance.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could you just show me a little bit what the Jerry
Well,
Lewis
there's many
is?
dances.
I mean, I'm really
There's
interested
many
in the
dances
Jerry.
to be
Could you show me the Jerry Lewis?
It's very complicated.
Wait,
watch your mic, Mike.
Let's just, yeah.
All right, I got
That's
the
okay.
mic,
Yeah.
ma'am.
All right, face the camera.
It's sort of like from the movie The Jerk.
Wait,
no, the Jerry Lewis is best witnessed from behind.
Yeah, I think it's better a rear view type of thing.
Do you guys want to sing a little something? I mean, what do you do to Jerry Lewis?
Jerry Lewis. It's just kind of, you know.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. That was my fault. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. So what you're and that's just
the water
kind
is
of
all over the place.
All right.
This is great.
You haven't said anything. You've been very quiet through all this, and I want to ask you where you get the ideas for the raps that you do.
Well, we get the ideas from our rap from everyday experiences, and we just, you know, rap is such a versatile form of music. We can write about anything. Like, we can write about something being tricky. We wrote a record about our sneakers. We can write a record about how the world is.
What'd you say about your sneakers?
We have a line of
my Adidas walked through concert doors and roamed all over Coliseum floors. I stepped on
stage
at Live Aid. All the people gave and the poor got paid. And out of speakers I did speak. I wore my sneakers, but I'm not a sneak. My Adidas touched the sand of a foreign land. With mic in hand, a code took command. My Adidas and D close as can be. We make a mean team, my Adidas and me. We get around together. We're down forever and we won't be had. We're more than bad weather, my Adidas.
Well, thank you. That was terrific. Adidas thanks you. What about you guys? I mean, you do the same thing. Your music's a little different from what I can hear. It's
well,
more...
it has...
It's ruling on the corner.
It's all more of a verite, a bouillabaisse.
A bouillabaisse.
Of musical
ideas. Paella, perhaps?
Paella?
Paella is one of
I just had
paella the other night.
We never really want to tell kids anything. We just write like what we think is funny.
Y'all telling the kids stuff they already know.
I mean, the kids pretty much. Our music is a lot different than Run DMC's. Run DMC's music is really like a message for the kids, and our music is really like we're just writing what we think is funny, and the kids know we're joking around when they hear us. It's a different thing. It's like, you know. I mean, what they're saying is really important, and it comes off as important, and you can hear that when you listen to music.
So
when we're saying it's obvious, we're joking around and having a good time.
Somebody sees a house torn up in a video. That doesn't mean that their house is going to get torn up if they play in a video.
I think tell me, when you see Psycho and you see someone get stabbed in the shower, then, I mean, It's just like it's a movie. When you see a Clint Eastwood movie and somebody walks around and shoots 100 people in the face, it's like a movie.
That promotes violence more than rap.
Right.
Rambo, all them kids.
We're not talking about violence. We're talking about
Just
what it is.
Oh, we were talking about. I would say Rambo promotes violence.
I like to say one thing.
That's why his wife left him.
And we don't even have pictures of us shooting people in the face. When you see us in the video and we're like breaking the TV set or throwing a pie in somebody's face, it's like anybody sees. That's TV. It's a video. It's not, you know, it's like...
And it's
not
fun
reality.
to be kind of silly and just to have a good time.
Not to be taken seriously.
When you see a Three Stooges thing, when you see the Three Stooges, somebody smacks somebody in the face, you don't go, oh my God, I don't want my kids to watch this. You just smack someone in the face, like, you know, you laugh.
Do you realize that a lot of musical groups before you face this same kind of terror from parents?
Yeah, they
Elvis
try to
Presley
stop 'em,
frightened
man.
people out of their
But
minds.
Elvis Presley never went out with Chuck Berry like a white and a black group like we did. This was new about this year.
Kind of like I get a picture.
We got a white and a black group going out
of
together.
Dal Strawberry and Lenny Dykstra, you know, from the Mets, and it's just like a beautiful feeling, you know. The Mets are #1, by the way. I'd like to get that out.
All right, this is it. This is the last chance. Y'all want to say something, sing something? We're almost out of time.
Y'all could like to do a little dance at least for
Y'all could like to do a little version of Freebird. You might.
Well, I'm sorry. I guess we're out of time.
See ya.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Hope you had a good time.
Tyler's crew, y'all.
Hope you had a good old time.
NFL.
Growing up in New York, Chris Parker left home at 13. He spent the next several years homeless. While moving among the city's subways, parks, streets, and shelters, Chris Parker kept his focus on rap music. And now Parker, as KRS-ONE, is one of the biggest forces in rap music in this country, and he uses his position to speak out against drug dealing and against police brutality. He pushes forward the idea of strength through intelligence and education. His name, KRS-ONE, stands for Knowledge Reigns Supreme Over Nearly Everyone. KRS-ONE, a leading positive rapper, Chris Parker, is with us. Welcome. Glad you come in.
Thanks.
There's a lot that many of us need to understand, Chris, about what you're doing and why. We hear the rap on rap music about it being negative, destructive, divisive, violent. And you come across in a different pattern, although it may sound similar at first to an untrained ear.
Right.
If you're positive in your approach to rap, if you're the sort of person who brings people together and towards something, what are you against?
Well, actually, I'm against ignorance and stereotypes. The whole word actually will just deal with ignorance. There's been a great war going on since the beginning of time, called intelligence versus ignorance. And I think that being in communication or being someone, a communicator to millions of people, we need to have someone in music, in every walk of life of entertainment, to come out and erase the ignorance that's in our society nowadays. No one wants to come out and uplift intelligence. Everyone thinks intelligence is, you know, the guy with the glasses sitting at home with a book.
The kid who gets the good marks in school is ostracized.
Exactly, and he's the one nobody wants to be, because Brutus, who's the big guy, doesn't get the good marks, is beating him down with brutality and force. The kids nowadays, due to the Stop the Violence movement, have turned their attention now away from the idea of brute force by way of advancement and onto intelligence.
Let's talk about the Stop the Violence movement right now, rather than putting it off for a while.
Right.
You've been involved with some of the other rappers and some of the people who produce records as well.
Right.
In this, is it a program? Is it a slogan? What is Stop the Violence? A good idea, but what is it? What does it mean to people? How does it touch people?
Well, the Stop the Violence movement, it started as a record on my last album, By All Means Necessary, and the movement was created to bring awareness to the inner city youth listening to rap music. Rap music was getting the bad rap, so to speak, of violence at this concert, violence at that concert, and we just felt as though it was imperative to come out with a song relevant to that, rather than to keep harping on my gold chain, my car, my this, my that, we can say something relevant to the kids.
I want to ask you a question. We're going to take a look at that in just a second. You wrote a piece in the New York Times that in September, an op-ed piece in September, and you said something that I think would probably be unpopular with a lot of people in rap music. It says, I teach a new fad in my songs, intelligence, which is what you just told us. It's no longer acceptable to strut around with big gold chains boasting. That stereotype, that lifestyle must be crushed. What kind of reaction did you get from other people in your business when you put forward that sort of almost holier-than-thou attitude?
Well, the first reaction we got was from other record companies. They didn't want to put out my records. We had a very hard time getting a record deal. Only one record company, which was RCA Records, Jive Records, they then went ahead and said, well, let's put out this message because they felt the same way. The reaction we got from the artists, on the other hand, was one of fear. Because it wasn't one of anger, it was more like I took the forefront, like picked up the mantle and said, this is what it's going to be.
You were homeless as a young guy, from age 13 till what, about 20? You were on the streets in New York?
13 to 20.
How'd you survive? How'd you survive?
You name it, from scrubbing floors to messenger work throughout the city, the shelter system itself. That was basically it, really.
You make a big cause in your work, and just going on talking about it, about intelligence as such. How did you gain what you know? I think it's a great story. You had to get in and out of the rain, basically.
Well, basically, the whole concept of intelligence in my own life story has a lot to do with my striving to advance myself. When I left home at 13, I wanted to be nothing more than a rap artist. I felt, because I love poetry, and when rap came out in the early 70s, it was like, wow, you know, poetry and rap are so much in common. I can do this and get my message across. So the concept then came out, or came out of me. Having to take shelter brought me into libraries.
I mean, just to get out of the snow and out of the rain, because you didn't have a place to live, really.
Exactly. But you can see where the turn of events happened.
What'd you do in the libraries?
You'd read books. I'd read you can't be in a library and not read. So I'd just sit there and read.
It occurs to me that while you say it was your destiny to be a rapper, and that's really what you wanted to be, that perhaps in an earlier generation you would have been an incredible preacher in a pulpit somewhere, or a teacher in a school somewhere, or a writer. Is that just a means to get to where you want to be, the rap music? Is that what you're doing?
Yes, rap is a means of communication for me. I reach the audience that I want to reach through rap music. If rap didn't exist, I'd probably do it through painting, because that's what I went to college for. So that would probably be it. But rap is very strong, very forceful, very direct music that I can give my strong, direct messages to millions of people at a time.
Early this morning, I was listening to Why Is That on my CD at home, and I can tell you, Chris Parker, I'm never going to listen to rap music in the same way that I did before. Enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
All right.
In 10 years, rap music has gone from ghetto streets to Main Street, USA. Sales last year reached an estimated $5 billion. One of the top groups is Public Enemy, also one of the most controversial. Critics call their music insulting. They call it a statement. Two members of Public Enemy are with Mark McCune this morning. Mark?
Thank you, Harry. Chucky D and Flavor Flav join me this morning. The new album, Fear of a Black Planet, sold 1 million copies in just a week. Congratulations and good morning to both of you.
Thanks a lot, man. Yeah, boy! Good morning, Mark.
You call yourself a band with a message. What message are you delivering on the new album, Fear of a Black Planet?
Well, we're just trying to say everybody here got to work together and live together, but at the same time, we're speaking from an Afrocentric viewpoint, and it's a black perspective and a viewpoint that's rarely seen, I guess, in this hemisphere of the world. So basically what it's about is about a little bit of respect going back and forth. and that's our message in our music, is that we got to give ourselves respect first before we can give respect, and also before we can gain respect, because we think that's needed here in America.
Now, you've said that rap is Black America's television. What do you mean?
Well, you know, like when I was growing up, you know, me as a black child, I didn't know how black kids my age was living. And, you know, in order for me to find somebody I could relate to, we had to watch Starsky and Hutch and see that there's a black guy like Huggy Bear on there, and that's how they're living in Los Angeles. So when rap came along, rap was able to describe by words, you know, the reflections, the views, the feelings of black, you know, teenagers, especially black male teenagers in the various areas where rap music was at. So, you know, that way we have those communication avenues open. Whether, you know, what's happening now is you got guys from Los Angeles speaking about what's going on out there, guys from Seattle, Atlanta, Carolinas, as well as New York and overseas. So that kind of communication avenue is open, and what it is some sort of, we call it media conquest.
Well, Chuck, your music is by blacks, for blacks, and it addresses the black situation. But black radio doesn't play a lot of Public Enemy. Why?
Well, number one, speaking on behalf of the group, it's for blacks, but what it is also, it's a message from us to all. You know, basically we try to give some sort of insight to tell our brothers and sisters out there, leaders that we do have, programs that we have to look forward to, and this is how the system works, and this is how we can fit in it, being black and still being in America. So the lyrics just basically tell everybody here, this is what to look for.
1985, you were the first female rappers out in the scene, and the whole field was dominated by males. What was that like?
At first, it was rough. Scary. There was a lot of guys, like we'll go to parties and stuff, and you'll see big time producers and record industry people, and Salt and Pepper would come up. They wouldn't know we were standing right next to them, and you'll see thumbs down and like, no way, wasted time. They just made this answer record to this guy's record, and they'll come and they'll go, but those things make you determined.
That's what I was going to say. We got a lot of those. They were like, oh, they just got lucky. You know, they didn't give us a chance yet, but now.
Look at you now. You wish you had us on your label.
So you feel now they're taking you seriously?
Oh, yeah. They have no choice.
So.
We're selling records.
So when you started out now, these guys who were the male rappers were the guys who were your inspiration, essentially. What was that like? I mean, they were like, a lot of their stuff portrayed women negatively, and they were the ones you were listening to. So did you use them for inspiration?
We really didn't. First of all, we got into this business by accident. I mean, we were working at Sears. We were going to school together, and Herbie was a producer. Herbie was our inspiration, our producer. It wasn't like we wanted to be rappers and we were making rhymes and we were trying to be rappers. This was a total accident, so I can't say I looked up to Run DMC or I looked up to whoever.
We admired them for their work. I mean, back then, LL, Run DMC, the Fat Boys, you know, Houdini, great, those were the top, you know, at the time. But, I mean,
they didn't inspire us.
Right.
Now, when you finally had great success with Push It, so did the male rappers look at you differently?
You know what they tried to say then? That we were trying to go white and we were trying to go pop and we were trying to, you know, cross over and diss our original audience. But Push It was an accident, first of all, because the record was Tramp. You know, we took this record to our record company and they were like, okay, this is great. Let's get a B-side. So we ran back that same night and we just threw Push It together. So it was a phenomenal accident.
That story I think is real great because the guy, okay, when we did Push It, I mean, we did it in Fresh Gordon, this guy in Brooklyn, you know, he's also a producer. We did it in his bathroom. His bathroom is like a box. And Salt and myself, we just stand up there going, you know.
He has a studio in his apartment.
Peppa's here, and, you know, we did it like 2 o'clock in the morning.
And his vocal room is in the bathroom.
It's in the bathroom. So, you know, you can hear the toilet running music, like, start over and over
So
and over.
for a platinum single to be done in an apartment, in a bathroom, in Brooklyn, you know, that was an accident. That was a total accident. It was great, though.
What did the guys say, though, when you finally...
Well, like I said, they were saying that we're trying to go pop, and they never gave us our props. They still don't give us our props to this day. You'll see them quotes in a magazine saying they're good for girls,
Right,
you know,
things like that.
So I don't blame them. It's an ego thing. You know how men are.
You know.
The two themes running through your latest album, Black Magic, is independence and black pride. Why are those two things important to you?
Well, there's a black awareness going on in New York and in all the states, actually. And I think rap is how can you say, a vessel in order to, the children listen to us, and black children have a problem with who they are and where they come from.
Right.
And I think if they knew about, they had more pride about who they are and about being black, it would help them to expand as people, help them to be more confident, help them to do better in school, help them to go, yeah, I can do this. You know, so we feel that we had to do our part. We can't just go about shaking a thing and pushing it and twisting and shouting, you know. We felt this time that we should say something of significance to the kids. And independent is the same thing.
You've come a long way. I mean, as a rapper, with Quincy Jones, which brings you more into the mainstream, now movies. How are you dealing with all this? Because I mean, those are big steps right there.
Well, I'm just hanging on with it. You know, my true feelings about my career, I'm just really concerned with my core audience, which is my neighborhood, you know. Going mainstream and blowing up, that's great, that's cool, but that's not what Ice-T is really in it for. I'm always concerned with being understood, you know, in the streets of Harlem, the streets of the Bronx or Brooklyn. I want to be able to walk the streets and have people say, yo, Ice, thanks. I'm dealing with all the work. I'm just real happy, you know. I mean, like I said in Quincy's movie, every time people call me and say, Ice, you got another job or another interview, I'll be like, I don't want to do that interview. Then I hear like Grease popping at Jack in the Box or something. I'm like, where's he at? Who do I got to talk to? CBS? And here I am. It's early in the morning too, but I'm ready, you know. So ask me another question. I love it.
All right, let's talk about the street. You are a man from the streets. You make no bones about it. Your music makes no bones about it. Why is that the way you rap?
Well, I mean, that's the way I grew up, you know. Fortunately or unfortunately. People can say unfortunately, but I say fortunately because now there's somebody that can maybe help it, you know. But when hip-hop broke out in New York, the rappers rapped about clubs and nightclubs and parties because there was a hip-hop scene here. There wasn't a hip-hop scene in Los Angeles. There was a gang scene. There was a heavy crime scene back in those days. I tried to rap like the New York rappers, you know, about parties, but everybody said, that ain't you, man. You sound like somebody else, man. So then I started rhyming about what I did every day, which was run from the police and carry guns and stuff. And I invented a new style of rap, which now you see people, you have NWA and all these groups, but it was a reality to me, you know. And through my style of rhyming, I reached a lot of kids in Detroit and Chicago, people living the same way as me. I can't rap any other way. I can't rap like Hammer or Vanilla Ice because I'm not them. But then they can't rap like me, so there's no jealousy or animosity. I just do what I do, and that's telling you about me.
Let me ask you, what's your mom think about the direction you've gone?
Shoot, I don't know. I don't have any parents. My mother passed when I was in the 3rd grade. My father passed when I was in the 7th grade. That's how I got transported to Los Angeles. I don't have any relatives. All I really have is my friends. My aunt I moved out with, she's dead. So I just got my friends. So really, the hip hop community and my friends from the gang community and crime community are my family. That's who I worry about caring about me. See, I don't have I just have my people. When I walk down New York streets, people say, yo, Ice, thank you. Not you got a dope beat, thank you. I was in Alabama and they told me, I said, you doing a concert down here? I can't, man. You know, Tipper Gore, man, they don't want us in here and all that. And he was like, we need you down here, man. Not we need we need you. They need what they're really saying is they want black people to start talking and coming up with something and standing on their own 2 feet. But I'll end this real quick with a quote, my quote. Me and Chuck D have come up with people in this business that we call soldiers. And to be a soldier means there's anybody out there can take a position. You can take a position, but it takes a soldier to hold a position. And that's what I consider myself, a soldier. And I wish more of these rappers would become soldiers, and these people out here, especially just people in the audience, just become a soldier and hold your position. Stop being able to be pushed off of that. You know, when he asked me about women, he expected me to get pushed off of it. But a lot of the stuff we said is true, and I'm a soldier, and I'm not gonna move, you know. Somebody gotta do it, yeah.
Nice.
Why you came up with these songs?
I think somebody should write a song called F the Police. No, it's like when we wrote the song F the Police, it's the stuff that we've been through before and that everybody around us been through. People been going through for years, but we was, you know, everybody else was scared to put it on record. So we put it on record and said it how we wanted to say it, and everybody didn't pay attention to it till Holiday caught this Rodney King beating on tape. Then everybody's going, oh, that's why they did this song, F the Police, you know, because everybody's putting us down for doing the song. The FBI was sending us letters, and, you know, police was harassing us. Oh, so you the ones that did the song, F the Police. I ought to beat you a little, you know, stuff like that. Now, since all this happened, everybody really paying attention to it now, you know.
Yeah, you did get a lot of hassles with the FBI and then this Federation of the Police, where it's saying don't provide security at rap concerts, that sort of thing.
Right.
I mean, you feel vindicated now?
It's like banning us from all the venues. We couldn't even go out on the road, you know, because for the song and other reasons, they think we was going to, you know, cause a lot of trouble, but it's all bull, you know.
And now, though, I mean, you think you've made the point?
I mean, I think we made the point a long time ago, but everybody just opened their eyes now.
Did you write that song and some of the others as a warning or just to share the experience?
I mean, you could say it was a warning, but just letting other people know what's going on and what could happen. But that's just stuff that we've been through, and that everybody else goes through. We just put it on record.
So were you surprised when the riots broke out?
Not at all. I mean, it's like 400 years plus, and they can't take no more, you know. They make examples of everybody else, you know, and everybody know that the 4 officers were guilty, and everybody's seen that for themselves, and it's like people was fed up.
Do you think you speak for a generation out there that the others have not spoken for?
Probably so.
Well, why is that? I mean, you think they're just not addressing the younger crowd?
Yeah, I think they're not at all. But I guess we're speaking for a lot of people out there that haven't spoke yet or afraid to speak.
Go ahead. You were talking about it started in New York. You're not a follower.
Well, you know, rap music was something that started in New York, and I noticed that a lot of the rappers from New York began to start once, you know, rappers from California started getting recognized and getting their names on the map. Unfortunately, a lot of them were just gangster-style rappers. Or people who had been in gangs or whatever and just rhymed. So that was, when they came out, that was what they were talking about. And it was a lot of MFs and a lot of Bs and a lot of just curse words, way more than what we were accustomed to using. Us being from the East Coast, from New York, our concentration went more on the flow with our rhymes, our rhyme style, our patterns and things like that. Out here, it just seemed like it's a whole different story out here. And I noticed that a lot of the rappers from the East Coast began to get on this gangster thing when we don't really have too many gangs. We don't have any gangs in New York, to my knowledge. Not, you know, no Crips and Bloods in New York. And so for everything to become gangster this and gangster that, you know, we talking about 2 different kinds of gangsters. But I watched people start following behind what they were doing out here. And I didn't think that was cool. I still don't think that's cool. I don't think that's something we need to be doing. I think if anything, we need to be educating people on how they should be living. And I know it's the trend for this music to be, you know, to sell. But it's not for me to switch my whole ideas and all the things I believe in just to sell a record. I'd rather not sell any records than come out here all of a sudden becoming, you know, I don't think being hardcore is an image. You know what I mean? That's something that's inside. You wouldn't know, I'm smart, the way that I am, you wouldn't know whether I was hardcore or not, because I would never let you see it. You know what I mean? But now it's becoming an exterior thing. So you won't see Queen Latifah jump on some hardcore, I'm gonna shoot him, kill him, cut his throat, dump his body kind of thing. I think that's corny. And I think that's a soft move. That's a punk kind of move. It takes more courage for me to make records that are true to what I believe in than to follow what the trend is. I think that's what a lot of rappers are doing now. They're just following the trend. And more importantly, they're not trying to educate themselves. They're content to say, well, this is the way I was raised and this is what I'm brought up in and this is my experience.
But how do you get it back to the
Well,
other way?
there's still people out here who are making records that are their kind of records and not other people's records. As long as we have groups like, you know, myself, Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul, Public Enemy, Boogie Down Productions, who come with a realistic point of view, but overall vibe is really just a positive vibe. Always keeping your head up, always looking up, you know, never looking down or letting it get you down, regardless of what your circumstances are. As long as we keep coming like that, I mean, it'll always be enough for you to choose from. And as long as groups like us sell records, then we'll show that you can sell records without having to be like that. Public Enemy has been platinum many times, you know, but BDP has been gold. Every album is going gold. So, and they come from a street point of view. But there's also a positivity in it and a knowledge that you can gain from it. That I feel like a lot of gangster rap doesn't offer you. One thing I do feel like that it did was bring the whole situation to light. And I feel like that was important because a lot of people didn't know about what was going on out here and in other places on the West Coast particularly. We didn't know until people started discussing it. We didn't know that there was a problem to be handled. And, you know, it's a different mentality out here just from living out here now. I do see it's a different thing, but we all one color as far as I'm concerned. And we need to kind of stick together and kind of bring each other up, you know. So I just want to see more people reach their hands out to the next person and try and help them up and try and show them another way and not make them, not discourage them from trying to go the right way.
Tell me about the Rapper's Delight, how that started.
Well, wow. That started back in 1979 when my mother came up with an idea to put rap on wax. And she put the three of us together. Coryell's a new addition to the crew. Back in 1979, in September, we released a record called Rapper's Delight.
And a friend of mine owned Crispy Crust Pizza in Inglewood on Palisades Avenue. So I needed something right at, you know, a little summertime job. He says, Hank, why don't you help me at the pizza shop? Now, it's very unique that blacks are not really so much associated with making pizza. But he taught me how to make pizza, and I became an exquisite pizza maker. So I'm throwing pizzas up in the air, and the people are like, this must be a novelty. But I went from making pizza to limousines and private jets.
What really happened in October, let me see, before September, I think, my mother said, Joe, I want to find two other rappers to rap with the group. And a friend of mine, Warren Moore, had known Hank because he had went in to buy pizzas and stuff, and he said, Miss Rob, I got somebody who can really rap. I drove my car over there, and I said, it's your time to audition. Hank was making pizzas at the time, and he told everybody, get out, and locked the door, and he jumped in back of my car and made my car sink all the way down to here with his weight. Anyway, and I threw a tape in, he started rapping, you know, and he started rapping to my mother. Wonder Mike happened to be across the street, and he saw what was going on, and he walked across the street and said, can I audition, can I try? And he got in the car, and he started saying the hip, hop, the hip, and then my mother said, okay, I'm gonna put all three of y'all together. And she came up with this idea, and we went in the studio, and we stayed this studio as you're interviewing us right now. She came with the idea to put Chic's music, which was #1 at the time, Good Times, by Chic. She said, I'm gonna make this record #1 again. And everybody thought she was crazy, no way in the world. And she came with a record that was 15 minutes, 14 seconds, the longest playing record ever. And we did it 2 days, day and night in the studio. And she released the record, no short version. And it was unheard of because in the record business, no company releases a record that's 15 minutes long because you can get 3 or 4 different records at a time. She said, I'm not giving no short version. They're gonna play it or don't play it. And when they played the record, it was like a phenomenon. I mean, the phones lit up, the requests went crazy. We were selling 70, 100,000 units a day on this record, worldwide.
It's wild because when I was 8 years old, I saw Hard Day's Night with the Beatles. They would chase the Beatles around London and all this. And the same thing happened to us. It was weird. Our second show ever was at the Paradiso in Newark. And there were, excuse me, there were girls being passed over the crowd and onto the stage, and they were given water. And we were in France one time, and you see how big we are. We're at a record store signing autographs. The kids came and just rushed us. We ran out the back door, ran down an alley, and there's about 100 people chasing us. And over in Europe, every cab was about as big as this seat right here. And we're yelling, open the door, open the door, open the door. Man opened the door, and all of us, wham, 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 got in, and they were rocking the car, and it was a madhouse.
What do you think makes rap so appealing to a worldwide audience?
You know what? It's people are always going to talk, and when people talking, it just a lot of people can't sing, but they can rap, they can talk. So I think rap is always going to be around as long as people are talking.
Hank, where do you think, if you could look into a crystal ball, where do you think rap is headed?
Well, let's go back. People said when we first started, rap wouldn't last 2 weeks. You know, this new style stuff.
Phenomenon.
It's just a fad. It's going to be going just as fast as whitewashed T-shirts. You know, wrong. It's 79. It's 1995 now, right? If I'm correct.
Going into 95.
We're going into the year 2000 around that time.
Yeah.
Rap is going to be very big. The Jetsons will be doing it lately, probably.
It's a universal situation which is going to last throughout black, white, Chinese, Puerto Rican, whatever.
Do you think that people are taking it more seriously, if you will?
Yes, well, what happened, I believe, within the past 3 to 4 years, rap has got a bad name because of the violence, you know, the violent rap, and which we don't portray and which we won't do. I don't knock that because people have to do what they have to do for a living. If it's a rock band and they provoke violence, they don't say the same thing with the rock bands. So don't say it for rap. You know, it's just a different kind of music that we come with the Sugar Hill Gang. And our crowds don't come to hear violence. You know, they come to have a good time, to party, to enjoy themselves. And that's what we portray. And our fans, I mean, we've been selling out all over the world. And it's the true fans that are still coming back to see us. And even the new school are coming to see us because they want to know who are the Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah.
Kids that were 4 and 5 at the time when we came with Rappers Light are now 15 and 19. And they want to hear hip hop the hippie all night long, you know? Yeah.